My name is Noah G. Smith.
And what band are you in?
I am in Embers Through the Fog, ETTF band on all the social medias.
Okay. How many members are in your band?
Right now, just two, just me and my drummer, Andrew Rosetta.
What's up with Embers Through the Fog? What's that name mean?
It's kind of derivative of I was in a band years ago called Fire in the Northwest. It's kind of funny because this is Fire in the Sky. But Fire in the Northwest kind of crumbled. We put it back together, crumbled apart. We were thinking about a band name. The other guys were kicking some stuff around, and I was just like, Embers Through the Fog, because of the fog of confusion, the fire's kind of out. So it was definitely derivative of Fire in the Northwest.
How often do you guys practice?
We try to practice at least once a week, but like we will kind of go on breaks just depending on like what's happening. You know, if one of us is busy or if we don't have any shows booked, you know, we'll kind of like before we practiced last Tuesday, we didn't play for maybe 3 weeks. So then I jumped on the show. I saw the opportunity. David from Crimson Guardian had posted that they needed some bands, and so I said, let's do it. And we practiced like once before we came up, and that was it, you know.
So if a space alien came over with a laser gun, pointed it right to your head, and said, dude, Noah, you have to tell me a genre name for your music that's new, a new genre name that hasn't been uttered in any sort of human language before. You got to figure out a new formula of name that describes what you do. What would it be? Otherwise, your brain's lasered, and that's it. No more riffs.
Like stale, nitrous, psychedelic.
Okay. Okay.
You know, like if you've done too many whippets in a room and then you come back in, you know, a few days later and there's just that kind of stale, sweet smell in there and you're like, oh, God, I'm a wook.
What's something that you bring to the table that other bands don't? Something that like distinguishes you from all other bands in existence?
I guess what's the innovative thing we're doing? I guess maybe just the combination of like, you know, Andrew was a stone cold metalcore guy, you know, in his upbringing and his playing and where he learned and stuff. And I guess maybe just kind of bringing that like metalcore element with that kind of southern stony groovy doom thing.
What is on the cusp of being invented that hasn't? Like what's the next song, you know?
Yeah, I got a lot of, I call it riff constipation, since we don't get to practice as like often and regular as we want. I have a lot of ideas and a lot of loose arrangements and a lot of riffs, and some of them are very old, some of them are old songs that I've chopped up, and they're all kind of backed up. And when I want to come up with new stuff, I feel like I'm just kind of constipated with riffs. I can't get anything new out because I have so much of stuff that is like still just sitting on the shelves of my mind. And so, but I guess if we were to like, what would be the new riff coming down the pipe would be like, maybe some slower stuff, maybe some more like almost kind of ballad driven stuff, you know? Little more emotional, content, maybe a little sadder.
What are some challenges or what are some hard things that you had to break through? And maybe these things ended up making you stronger, or maybe you're still working through it. And it's been like 40 years of just still working with this deformed hand, or
well,
like
actually,
a knee or
when
whatever.
you mentioned deformed hand, I got out of nowhere in 2019. My hand started swelling, and it came on real aggressively. I didn't know what it was, and finally, after a few months of trying to make it work, I got diagnosed, and it was rheumatoid arthritis. But it came on so aggressive, like it was insane. And then it took a while to get it properly treated, so that was very hard. I mean, it was literally like having a cooler full of ice at practice, and in between, after every other song, like burying my wrist and hands in ice, and for 30-second intervals or whatever to kind of get back and play until I was a little warmed up and got the blood flowing through. I guess the other thing that I've had to overcome is I feel, I've always tried to be like, I'm kind of a psychedelic guy or whatever, and ego is sort of as always to me has been like a negative thing. I try to be extra humble, and try to be. I like to draw a lot of attention to myself, kind of stuff, and I think I had to realize, especially in the setting with other members and stuff, that like I needed to embrace my ego just a little bit, just enough to be like, hey, this song fucking kicks ass, and we're gonna develop it. And this is where the vocals are going to go. They're going to go over these parts and not this part.
When you were little, did you have a stuffed animal?
Yes.
Or a fuzzy animal?
Yes.
And if you did, how do you think it affected your musical career?
Oh, that's a wild question. I had a lot of stuffed animals as a kid, but the main one was like a teddy bear from my mom's father. He had a red sweater, and we called him Sweater Bear because he had this like red sweater that you could put on or take off or whatever. And I always wanted to be in a band, and I always wanted to play music. So maybe just like bouncing that idea, like sitting there with Sweater Bear and like thinking about that and idealizing that, and maybe imagining him as a partner or future band member, or whatever, my homie.